The meeting of the Shreveport City Council is now called to order. Councilman Fleury will give the invocation, and Councilman Corbin will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you stand, please?
Let us pray. Oh God, we thank you for this day and for the beautiful sunshine. We thank you, oh God, for this body and this great city. I pray, oh God, for the mayor and her administration and all the workers that perform duties every day to make this city a success. I pray for each council member as we pray for wisdom and knowledge. Now go with us and give us a very productive meeting today, God. We ask these things in Christ's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Bradford, Councilman Everson, Councilman Jenkins,
I am present.
Councilman Corbin,
Present.
Councilman Flores,
Present.
Councilwoman Lynch here, and Councilman Bowman.
Here. Tomorrow, entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the Administrative Conference and the City Council special meeting. Does any council member have any awards or recognitions at this time? Seeing none. Madam Mayor, do you have any awards or recognitions you would like to at this time?
Not today, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any communications relative to any city business, ma'am?
Tomorrow. Not today. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Green?
I have one from Mr. Green.
Okay.
If he's not here, then
Gary
I'll-
Norman is here.
Okay, but I can actually, I believe. Okay. 1916 Milam, I believe, is the address. It's out of my district. I recognize.
So is there a question?
It may have a care of premise violation.
Okay.
It may. I have a feeling it may have, somebody may have already communicated with the councilman there, but they don't feel that he's responded to them. And so they have now communicated with me, and so I have been by it. It does seem to fit the criteria of a care of premise, but I want a third party, and I don't necessarily think the other person is ignoring it. They may have just not gotten the email or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get it put in. Thanks, sir.
You bet.
And that's it. Mr. Crawford, you'll have a revenue collection plan tomorrow?
Already sent an email, but yes, sir, I'll be able to answer any questions.
Yes, sir. The same with Mr. Bradford on the surety.
I just sent the surety bond forfeiture report. There's also a comment I need to make. We'll have several rules to show cause against some of these companies set in April, so you don't see a lot of movement right now, but you will next month. It's just the court setting by the city court judges.
Yes, sir. Any legislation being added tomorrow, Mr. Crawford?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. No public comments?
Yes, sir, we do. Mr. Weiner, who's apparently tried to sneak in with two again. We're gonna have to.
You're going to have to clone yourself, Bill. Or bring a friend.
I'm going to try to do this.
You can do it.
My name is Bill Weiner. I'm an architect, and to be brief, it's on a PowerPoint. It's less than 3 minutes. It's automatic. It's not on the screen. Oh. It's on that screen. Can you all see it?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's on that one. It should change automatically. That's not the beginning slide. Something's wrong here. Yeah, okay. Start your 3 minutes. It's not automatically changing like it's supposed to.
Okay. Let's see, what are we getting at?
What are we waiting on? What?
We're reading this presentation.
I pulled it up last
He's
time.
offered
It's
us
online.
only a
It's right here.
presentation in lieu of him speaking.
That's what I was doing.
Mr. Chairman.
Why just didn't make copies of it?
Be recognized.
Just start it there and just do it manually. Just hit the time like this.
Okay,
Let's just get a copy.
sorry.
People like him to keep us.
I think we've read this one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have a vision statement, so that's incorrect.
Do have a business statement.
Come up to his information.
Here it is. Right there.
It's on.
We need to refer him to that page. Mr. Chair.
It's online.
Okay.
Vision core values.
Okay, I apologize, it was all supposed to be automatic.
Got it.
was 2 minutes and 59 seconds, but
We got it.
if you have any questions, because for tomorrow, you can be more prepared, and I will be happy to give you a printed version of this, but
Yeah, that's what we want, a printed, yeah, we do want a printed version of it, please.
Okay.
But I think we do have a vision statement. But Mr. Flavor, you want the,
I'll withdraw my question.
okay.
You have a
Mr.
vision.
Chairman,
do-
and Mr. Winter, the mayor does have a vision statement. It's in our strategic plan. It's online. There's a vision statement and a mission statement, and the core values for the city are also listed on there. I'll be glad to provide you with a copy of that at the end of the meeting.
When I lived in Colorado, they had one that they revised every 7 years. It took 6 months of public hearings on each issue, and it was very good. It's a document to help you. It's not legislative, it's something you have to follow. I'll hand out these and sit down.
Thank you.
And I guess
all we
it's
have.
turned off.
No items on the consent agenda for introduction. Mr. Crawford, you want to continue to items to be adopted? Mr. Crawford?
Sorry.
He's unprepared.
I was thrown off track, Mr. Chairman. We're under consent agenda legislation
Yes, sir.
to adopt ordinances and resolutions. Resolutions number 30 authorizes Bruce L. Bryant and Shirlene Bryant at 5935 Buncombe Road to make a connection to the city of Shreveport's water and sewer system. Resolution 31 authorizes the mayor to execute an act of release of a utility servitude in the Southern Trace Phase 4, Section 20-A subdivisions in Section 32, that's T16 North and R13 West.
Any questions?
Yeah, these are under consent for tomorrow?
It's on my agenda. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'm I'm gonna have a question on both of these on tomorrow.
You don't have your question
So,
today, though.
I do have a question now, but I'm gonna, I would like for them not to be under the consent agenda.
Which one do you want removed?
30 and 31.
30 and 31?
Term is both.
And my question on 30 is, okay, so it's one house on this particular street,
On Buncombe, yes,
Correct.
ma'am. One house.
One house.
okay? And that house is in the parish.
It is. The road is city property, and that house and most of those along that stretch of Buncombe Road are in the parish.
Okay.
But we have a water and a sewer line that run down Buncombe.
Right.
It's not the one that's surrounded by the
Yes.
city buildings.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. She needs to know that.
Yeah, this is,
Completely.
I'll get you a copy of this, and I think we sent a copy of this map to Art this afternoon. This is the property in question, and so the city surrounds this whole tract right
Right.
here.
Right.
But this is Buncombe Road here, coming off of West 70th, and this is the house here. Apparently, it's new construction. There's several new houses that are going up along Buncombe there, so I'm assuming that's what, I haven't seen it, but that's what it is.
Okay, have we figured out, because there was some question about who repaired the road along there?
We repaired the road. We
We did
overlaid that
do it?
road. In 16, I believe, we
Okay,
overlaid that road.
okay. I mean, I used to have that in my area, in my commission district, and there was some back and forth and back and forth
Yeah, there's
between the city and the parish.
There's
as
a
to-
little bitty piece of Buncombe right there, right when it goes around that curve, that's actually in the parish.
Right.
But we overlaid all of this, I think, all the way to Pine.
We overlaid it all the way
past
down.
Pines Road,
On
all the
past
way down
Pines,
to
yes, sir. Because it's my
Broad
district.
Acres, I believe, was
Okay.
us.
Well, it's in the city,
Yeah, the road's in
The
the
road.
The road is in the
right,
city.
Right.
correct.
Yep, so all that was.
That's on the agenda. I mean, it's on the agenda.
Okay, and so the form that they fill out,
Mhm.
it just pretty much has on there, you know, you can annex or you may not annex.
They have to, if they are outside the city and they are requesting water and sewer services, they have to sign a petition that allows us to annex them if we so choose. We normally don't do that. We normally just provide sewer and water. We charge them double sewer and water rates. If they make some type of action and formal request that, yes, we'd like to also be annexed, then that's another step that the council would take.
But do we annex house by house or do we annex the entire area?
That would be this would be one specific for this particular house. But that would be a separate piece of legislation that would come
I
back.
understand, but I'm just trying to get, you know, comprehensively.
Mhm.
If they said we want to be a part of the city, we could actually go in and basically carve in and out of that neighborhood based on these hookups.
Yes, if they're under city water and sewer, they would have all individually signed a petition to annex, to be allowed to be annexed.
Okay.
I'm not sure, did we answer your question?
He did. I just see that as just a little problematic, you know, if we decide to move in that direction. But, okay, so how do we make sure that they're charged the parish rate, basically, of the
Once this
outside the city limits rate?
Once this ordinance is approved by council and the mayor signs it, it goes to the water department and allows them to hook up, and they have the piece of legislation that says we're outside the city, that account is set up at that rate.
Gotcha.
That's correct.
All righty. Thank you.
But
Yes,
what the
ma'am.
when you say problematic, what's problematic about?
No, I'm saying that we can go in and out, you know, of an area. Some are hooked up to the city water, some are not. So if they're agreeing to be annexed by the city, you can kind of have this house in the city, 2 doors down, not be in the city, then the next one be in the city. So that's,
And just for the record, Councilwoman, this administration's never done that. We've never just,
right.
you know, dotted and taken a house and annexed it,
Correct.
or, you know.
But it can be done based on.
It could
the way-
potentially be done.
Right.
but that's not something that Mayor Tyler's ever favored.
And of course, we would bring that legislation back to
Right.
council
Yes.
before anything would happen
Right.
anyway.
Right.
Okay?
Gotcha.
Right now, they're just asking for a connection to our water and sewer.
Gotcha.
And we get to charge the local rates once that becomes.
It's the annexation that,
Right.
you know, the part that I'm kind of keying in on.
Right, and they've not applied for annexation yet. That would be a separate piece of legislation.
Right.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
That's it? Okay. Councilman Jenkins?
Okay. The one question I had was, the other houses on this street, they're all on well water?
That's a Barbara question. I'm not sure what they're on.
Because
It's new.
at least on the map, it didn't
It's new
show
cons-
any.
Yeah.
It didn't show any, any connections. So, I guess the real question, and it doesn't really
Are they all under wells?
this ordinance and specifically, but when they all go in and tie into this 12-inch water main, I mean, I don't know if that's a great long-term solution. But are all these other guys going to do the same thing? Or do we not know? Or did they have to put any type of plat or in the parish? Does anybody?
Come on, Patrick.
I mean, and if it's okay if nobody has an answer. I mean, I guess the question could be
Well-
Mark Sweeney that answers this question. I mean,
We only deal with
I
people that
get
come
it, but
to
I mean,
us.
you understand that we don't want a main that has dozens and dozens of individual connections all sitting outside the city.
You've seen this as an island of parish inside the city.
Yes,
And-
I mean, to me, if you were going to annex something, this would be the place to annex,
That's
not
one,
some
too,
deal that's
because
way
they-
out the end of the road. I mean, this is,
So I don't know exactly how everybody's getting their water. It's non-city, so either a well or a private water system, which could be fed by a well. I can look into it and find out.
They're on the private.
But-
Most of them that I know, that's right there on the private, just like this guy is. And I happened to just thought about him, saw the name.
Let's just check on it, Patrick, and we'll have him
but
something
he's
tomorrow.
on a private
Private.
water system or he's on a personal well.
I think we are.
Gotcha.
I agree.
Thank you.
On both accounts.
Mr. Crawford, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under regular agenda legislation, these are resolutions on second reading and final passage, all which will require only one reading. Resolution 17A ratifies the authorization of the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Southern Roots Entertainment. Resolution 22 authorizes the City of Shreveport, State of Louisiana, the city to hire professionals in connection with the issuance of not exceeding $120 million in water and sewer revenue bonds in one or more series. Resolution 23 declaring the intentions of the City of Shreveport, State of Louisiana to proceed with the issuance of not to exceed $120 million of water and sewer revenue bonds in one or more series, making application to the State Bond Commission for approval. Resolution 24 authorizes the mayor to execute and accept an act of donation between the City of Shreveport and Vintage Construction Group, LLC, hereinafter called owner, and acting herein through David M. Alexander, manager for the water and sewer mains and related facilities to service Providence Phase 2, Unit F. Resolution 25, authorizing the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the City of Shreveport and Providence Development Company, LLC, hereinafter called owner, and acting herein through David M. Alexander, manager for the water and sewer mains and related facilities to serve Providence Phase 3, Unit A, construction Phase 2 and 3. Resolution 26 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the City of Shreveport and WIVI Land Development, LLC, hereinafter called owner, and acting herein through David M. Alexander, manager for the water and sewer mains and related facilities in serving Lucient Fields Phase 1, Unit A. Resolution 27 authorizes the mayor to execute and accept an acts of donation between the City of Shreveport and Reunion Development, LLC, hereinafter called owner, and acting herein through Ben Tullis, manager for the water and sewer main extensions and related facilities to service Reunion Subdivision, Unit Number 4. Resolution 28 authorizes the mayor to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Shreveport, Louisiana, and Coates Bluff, LLC. Resolution 32 declares March 19, 2018 as celebrating Women in Public Office Day in the City of Shreveport. And Resolution 35 proclaims March 2018 as Women's History Month in the City of Shreveport.
Councilwoman Lynch.
Yes, I had a question on Resolution 28. Okay, now, you said that the amount of the fees proposed to be waived is $69,733.
Correct.
If y'all approve it.
Kind of explain to me what's the advantage of the city of doing that?
Which one is this?
This is the
28.
Coates Bluff.
Oh,
This is the one.
I
I can explain as it was explained to me.
Go ahead.
So the difference there is that what we're doing is they're doing a pilot where they are going ahead and advancing the cost of doing this infrastructure improvement with private funds in exchange for they'll pay back in time as a payment in lieu of taxes. And so waiving the fees would cost us less money and time because we are being paid back with interest. You know, they're going to get interest because they're upfronting the money. And so if we were to charge them the fees up front, they roll that into their pilot, and then it comes back to us over time, but less the interest that they would add to it. Make sense? I'm doing a terrible job of explaining that. But it's very...
Not in the finance world.
No. I am not in a lot of worlds right now. My head is on some other total piece of legislation that I am reading, and I'm trying to think of two things at once. But did I make any sense at all?
I think
Councilwoman Lynch, the Industrial Development Board granted this project a tax exemption pilot. And so that is a private developer developing something in a public right-of-way. This is the whole Coates Bluff Street, which is going back to their development. Okay. And so in doing so, the cost of that development is $1.4 million becomes deferred in the pilot, and they get to take that off of their taxes until they get their money back. So the $69,000 that we're talking about, if we waive the fees, they would add that to their pilot, and what we would have to decrease their taxes on over a period of time until they can recoup that $69,000 plus interest. And what Councilman Everson was saying was from a fiscal standpoint, we would lose more money if we didn't waive the fees over the long period as to waive them for the short period of allowing them to do it for the $69 now.
Well, how much money are we talking about? You know, 1 or 2% interest on $69,000?
I'm not sure what it would be.
Was it 1.4 million?
1.4 million is the entire project, but I'm
Right, I
sure
understand that.
that's probably based on some market interest fee, which those continue to go up almost as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what the percentage would be, but I think it's in the twos right now.
Okay, so are you saying at some point we get this $69,000 back?
We pay it back.
No, we don't ever get the $69,000 back. We either just waive the fees and don't pay for it and don't require them to pay for it now, or they take off that $69,000 for the decreased taxing.
But they would pay it up front. If we didn't waive it, they would pay it up front. Right. But then they would not owe us property taxes in the same amount
Over
plus
a period of
interest.
time. Over a period of time, plus interest.
That's the explanation.
Correct.
That we got. Right.
Yes.
So
What
we either
period,
waive
what's
it-
the period of time?
It's in the cooperative endeavor agreement.
Did I miss it?
We have to go back and
Yeah,
look at
it's
it.
in there.
I'll pull it up. I can tell you in a minute. Hang on.
Mayor, Alex Washington
If I may.
does work with
Okay,
that.
come on up.
It's definitely what I can do. I wasn't prepared to discuss this. I do have that lease agreement.
Okay.
I can pull that lease agreement and answer any specific question that you do have. But we handled that with UL Coleman, and it actually works out for the benefit for both parties. But I can pull that lease agreement and address any questions that you do have.
Okay. I don't see it on here, Jeff.
I didn't either on the
Okay.
attachment, but
Okay.
there's
How much?
maybe a
Somewhere. The
there's-
lease agreement? It's in the lease agreement?
That's
You can
probably
send
what.
it
In the
to-
terms,
You can send it to us, and then we can just forward it to the council members.
okay.
That work?
We'll be here tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow.
Okay.
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 That'll work.
Do you need to get it this before tomorrow, Councilwoman Lynch?
That will be helpful either first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess what I'm just trying to figure out, I understand the part about over time, but if it's going to be 20 years and we're going to get $50 a year, I mean, hypothetically,
Yeah.
it could be more
Or
than
lose
that.
50, lose 50 a year.
Remember, we're losing the money.
Yeah, we're losing it.
We're losing.
We're either
This is
losing
the
it in
same-
one chunk, or we're losing it over a period of time,
Absolutely.
with interest compounding.
with interest compounded.
So it's, once you get the Endeavor
Yeah,
agreement, just,
maybe it'll make a little bit more
yeah,
sense to
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Okay.
In other words, we either lose it now or lose it later,
And lose more later.
and lose more later, I think. But in the
As
interest
opposed to
of
having
trying
development going
partner with
forward now.
businesses that are trying to do, you know, construction and projects in our city, we just thought we'd bring it all at one time.
Gotcha.
And it's utilized throughout the state.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank
and,
you.
And it's within the, I mean, it's certainly within the purpose of this type of legislation, you know, of, you know, I mean, it's what you want out of a pilot. I mean, they're increasing property values and, you know, providing an infrastructure benefit to the city that, you know, offsets the revenue that we're losing. So
I get that term for you.
Okay. And let me say, I just think on some of these, you know, particularly for the benefit of the public, you know, needs to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it.
Right.
And I just think it's helpful because there can be a lot of misinformation because all people see is that we're giving up money. You know, we're waiving money, we're, you know, the ITEP that we did last week, that was part of the discussion, you know, where else could the money be used? You know, you get into all of that. And I just think we just need to be real clear, you know, about what we're doing. And thank you.
Seeing none other, Mr. Crawford, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, we're under introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 22 amends the 2018 capital improvements budget. Ordinance number, I'm sorry.
Resolutions.
Introduction of
Yeah,
resolutions.
let me back up. Introduction of resolutions. Mayor's going to keep me straight over here. Introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to March 27, 2018. Resolution 33 authorizes the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement with Red River Employees Federal Credit Union, and Resolution 34 adopting the system survey and compliance questionnaire required by the Legislative Auditor's Office of the State of Louisiana.
Councilman Jenkins.
My name was up there first.
I thought that was old.
That's me.
Okay.
Councilman-
Better go first.
On that one, okay, what, I guess I need the beginning and ending date on that,
The CEA?
on that CEA. Do we have that?
Bonnie, you want to come up? She's managing this for the city.
This was up like, I guess they control it from the back. So I wouldn't know.
I think Councilman Lynch wanted to know the beginning date and the ending date on the CEA for the Red River Employees Federal Credit Union. Do you have that information available today?
Mr. Crawford sent it this morning. It will be effective 8 days after the this council ratifies the resolution.
And then is there
What's
an
the
ending
end
date?
date? Yeah.
Oh, the ending date, it's year to year. I think for this particular one, they wanted to do a 2-year one. They didn't want to start this process and then in 1 year they had to leave, being a new organization. So this year's to 2019, and then thereafter is year to year.
Okay, so this will be 8 days after passing until that date in 2019.
Correct.
Okay, so, and then they're just eligible to be renewed, or will it go back out for RFP?
They're
or-
eligible to, no, they're not automatically eligible to be renewed, no.
Okay. So the process will kind of start over? I'm not really
It
familiar
could.
with the background. I know
It
Shreveport
could,
Federal-
there's a provision in there, we can mutually agree to extend it.
Okay.
But if we choose not to, then we don't have to.
And then what would be the process if we did not choose to extend it?
We could either repurpose the building, the city owns the building.
Okay.
For another use, or we could go out for another lender to work with us in cooperation with the initiative. But we will determine that based upon our needs at that time.
Okay, so this is based on the building or the programming?
Both. The building is owned by the city of Shreveport.
Right.
And we initially started the project as a financial empowerment center to address the needs of the community.
Right.
We're repurposing it to what we call the Shreveport Development Center, which will encompass both empowerment activities as well as business development activities.
And this is for citywide, right?
Correct.
Okay, and the current agreement that was in place with Shreveport Federal was from when? When did that start?
It started actually 5 years ago.
5 years, okay. God, that time went by fast. Okay, and that was for how long?
Actually, it was year to year.
Year to year? Okay. So well, you're saying you're not just substituting the name, you're kind of reprogramming.
Yes, we looked at reevaluating the use of the facility,
Okay.
what would make better sense for this community, and we looked at all of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Councilman Jenkins?
Oh, Barney, before you leave. Okay, on this little information sheet, it doesn't say what cost is associated. Normally, there's a little block in there, the amount of financial implication. That's probably not the term that it usually says, but there's usually a block in here that says something about what this costs us.
The city incurs a portion of the utility cost, and we will have that information for you in the next, as soon as Ms. Ragle gets back in town.
I got you. So that's all. Is it the utilities that's kind of what we're
Utilities.
doing? And the use of the building, I guess, unless we had somebody, because we own the building, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'd be just curious to know what that
Thank you.
cost is. Thank you.
Mr. Crawford, you can proceed, please.
Okay, now we're under introduction of ordinances. Ordinance number 22 amends the 2018 capital improvements budget. This is the first of a companion ordinance with Ordinance 23, which amends the 2018 budget for the Street Special Revenue Fund. Ordinance 22 allocates $7,100,861 to be taken into 3 street capital projects: collector asphalt programs, concrete panel, and Linwood Phase 2. Ordinance 23 actually transfers the money from the Street Special Revenue Fund into Ordinance 22 in the capital projects for the same amount of $7,100,861. Resolution 24 to enlarge the city limits and boundaries of the city of Shreveport for Long Lake Estates, Unit Number 23, Subdivision Development in Section 28, T16 North, R13 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Ordinance 25 amends the 2018 Airport Enterprise Fund budget for 3 specific projects. The companion for that in the capital side, accepting those, is Ordinance 26.
Okay. Can you tell me that number again on 23?
Sorry. $7,100,861.
And just for clarity's sake, it all goes for street improvements and replacement.
Got it.
So we're going to try to fix some of this language for our next budget, so it doesn't look like we're transferring anything out of street special revenue. We're really doing streets with the money.
Just want to be clear.
But the way it's set up now is
Got to move it out.
kind of complicated.
Sounds kind of, yeah.
Okay. So that's the next time.
You can proceed, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, sir. Ordinances on second reading and final passage. Ordinance number 9 amends and reenacts certain provisions of Chapter 26, Article 6, Division 3 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Shreveport, Louisiana, relative to architectural and engineering services. Ordinance 16 amending the 2018 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance number 17 closes and abandons a street dedication in Lot 18 of the Nichols subdivision in Section 26, T17 North and R15 West.
Is that the one?
That's the one that on tomorrow we'll ask that this legislation be tabled.
Okay.
Yes,
Which
I'm
ordinance
sorry.
was that?
Ordinance 17.
Yes.
Ordinance number 18 revises certain provisions of Chapter 10 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances. Ordinance 19 amends various other articles and sections of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code. Ordinance 20 is a zoning case C-2-18, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the north side of Claiborne Avenue between McWillie Avenue and Mark Street, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, LA, from I-2 Heavy Industrial District to R2 Multifamily Residential District to IMU Industrial Mixed Use District. Ordinance 21 is zoning case number C-6-18. This is an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the west side of Airport Drive, approximately 300 feet east of Jack Wells Boulevard, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from C4 Heavy Commercial District to I2 Heavy Industrial District.
Okay. And 17, we'll, okay, tomorrow. Councilwoman Lynch.
I'm not asking any questions on ordinance 18. I think I have my beer, wine, and liquor straight now. But I do have a question on ordinance 16. The city's financial empowerment grant. Okay, so I received the information on how the $20,000 was going to, has been budgeted, let me say, or going to be used. Okay, so now who actually is going to perform these services? Is this in-house?
The majority of it is in-house.
Okay.
But we do have a consultant that's working with us.
Who is that?
Carolyn Spates Gonzalez with CSG Consulting.
I'm trying to write it down, I'm sorry. Carolyn?
I got it.
You do? Say it again.
Carolyn Spates Gonzalez with CSG Consulting.
Okay, and that, okay, that is the part where it has consultant facilitator?
Correct.
Okay. And then the
Mr. Chairman.
trip to San Antonio.
We hope the machine is picking it up because we're having trouble understanding.
She
what's
said
going on.
Carolyn Spates
Spates Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. S-P-A-T-E?
SPHT. SPHAT.
So much for looking around your paper.
Well, I happen to know this part. I know that I know her
can't
maiden
cheat off
name.
you.
I know her maiden name. I just didn't know how to spell.
The middle name is the only one that's hard to spell, although I think it's S-P-A-H-T.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that right?
All right, gotcha. Okay, all righty. And then the peer support, kind of explain that one to me, because I'm trying to.
This particular grant that we received is based upon the financial empowerment standards based upon the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund.
Okay.
So they have paired us with a city that can help us through this process. And we were paired with San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
And so we're going to
Gotcha.
go down there to review their financial empowerment center and get ideas from them as well.
Not a bad city to be paired with.
And if we can give her a little background how we got this grant, because it is a grant
Right.
that we received. We wanted to become a part of this financial empowerment initiative back in 2015 when I first became mayor. New mayors were chosen, and they could accept, and we did accept
Gotcha.
because of the, high level of poverty in our area,
Right.
particularly female head of households and low wage earners.
Correct.
And so we wanted to try to do our part to help people lift themselves out of poverty, and this was one of the things that CFE Fund Corporation were trying to do throughout the nation with various private funds from either some kind of financial institution, and sometimes they go to philanthropic kind of organizations. And we want to access some of those funds and be able to help our people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version, but she can give you some more
Okay.
background.
This is-
Let's just answer the questions now. I wanted to give you some of the background on how we got started with the grant funding and trying to get that in to help our folks.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. And so are these meetings and roundtable meetings and all of that going to be done this year or just over the
Yes,
next
they
year?
will be done in the next 90 days.
The next 90 days? Okay. Do we have a schedule already?
No, but we
Okay.
should have one in the next week or so.
I'd kind of like to know, Mayor, before it's publicized, just to make sure, you know, there's good coverage, which I'm sure it will be, but I want to just kind of have an idea of what we're going to be doing. What was my other question on this? I think that was it.
Yeah, we'll be
I mean,
glad
I
to share.
have, I
We'll be glad
mean,
to share.
yeah, I mean, for obvious reasons, I have a lot of, you know, high poverty areas in my district, so I want to make sure we get, you know, the word gets out and I can let my networks or whatever know that this is going to be available.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I lived in San Antonio several years, so that's why I say it's a good city to be paired with for this. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Thompson, is there any table legislation to be removed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Table legislation? No appeal. Mr. Green? I was just going to say Mr. Green, I Mr. Norman.
From standard subpoena. Okay. Yes, I hear you.
I guess what?
Okay, we've got two appeals today that are up. The first one is one that's been on our agenda for quite a while, the 401 Spring Street, one that's across from American Towers. To kind of bring you up to date on it briefly, the building was owned by Mr. Hollingshead. The building has sold. Mr. Robert Lay out of Baton Rouge has purchased the building with the intent of developing it as housing in the downtown area. I believe there's a letter in your packet. If it's not, I'll be happy to forward it to you on what he's in his timeline for doing the work. But basically, he said it'll be about the third quarter of this year before he'll be at a point to where he can actually start doing construction on the project. He's in the process of applying for the historical tax credits and things that he needs to make the project work, and said it'll be sometime in the third quarter, and then once it gets to that point, said it'll be about a year-long project to get it done. And go through the still continuing to deteriorate. The exterior of the building is stable at this point. If you'll remember some of our concerns originally were with was with the roof and the metal on top of the roof blowing around, and as you can tell, there's been a substantial amount of it that has collapsed to the interior of the building. So the stuff that we were worried about blowing around is all now at least contained within the building.
And on this, you know, I saw the article in the newspaper about it, and obviously heard from Liz, and the owner of the building, I do think, sent me an email just to kind of provide me some contact information. I've not met him, but it does sound like they are moving forward, you know, pretty steadily, and the level of familiarity I have with this type of project, it sounds like they're doing the right things that need to be done to move forward. Though I do think, given the condition of the building and the sensitive nature of, you know, a building that has that going on with it, that we probably should not do too long of an extension. So I'm open to what y'all's recommendations might be, but I would think, you know, it sounds like it's moving forward, but I just don't want to let it go too long without a review period. So.
Right, I certainly agree with that. I mean, I don't know that we want to stretch it all the way out to the, you know, to the third quarter. I think maybe it may not be a bad idea to, you know, every 3 or 4 months at least to review it, where we can take a look at it and make sure there's nothing, changed with the structural stability of the exterior of the building.
Well, let's do 90 days. If I'd make a motion for a 90-day extension.
Moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Fleury. Any other questions? And none, please.
Do I need to add that to a motion or just say? Art was just saying that it would be helpful for when we reach out to the owner if we can request that maybe he provide us a progress report at 90 days to let us know what has been done and what the updated timeline is and anything that's been done to secure the structure at that point.
You'll need to make, since you have a motion on the table, you'll need to, on the floor, you'll need to make a substitute motion with those stipulations. Anybody can make it for you.
Anybody want to?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Lynch and Councilman Fleury, and second by Councilwoman Lynch.
Now we vote on the substitute.
And motion carries. 7, 6, 1 out.
And then so moved as amended?
It wasn't amended, it was just a substitute.
Oh, a substitute motion. Got it.
Gary, is that a standalone building, or does it have any shared walls with it?
There may be on the south side a shared wall.
I think it does share a wall with the building next to it.
I would need to check and see. I believe it does. Okay, our next appeal is for 5329 Broadway, which is in Ms. Lynch's district. This was a structure that was being demolished. I went by the property last week, and there was about probably 3/4 of it had been demolished, and most of the stuff had been put out by the street. We notified them that they would have to have that taken off, that it wouldn't be a bulk pickup type scenario. They did remove that. They finished demolishing the property, and now that's the remainder of it that's still remaining to be cleaned up.
Mike, Ernie. That is, but he's going to remove that, right?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thought he already started removing
Wait.
some of it.
The
Right,
first
that'll be
part of it, he did. This is the rest of it.
This from today.
That's
Yes.
from today, yes, sir. They did remove they had probably at least that much, maybe more, out there earlier last week. So, and that was removed, and then now this is the remainder of it. So,
I mean, but people realize you're not supposed to put a house in your trash, right? Like,
right.
I mean, I mean, I don't mean to sound comical about it, but this is like the 10th time I've seen somebody demolish a whole house and literally put it on the curb for their regular trash workers to pick up. I mean, solid waste.
Give me this guy's name.
Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
Carlos Brown. Right, and
How you know
yeah,
Carlos?
unfortunately, I don't know what his intent was, but we did make sure that he understood that he was going to have to get the contractor to move this stuff. So.
Yeah.
Demolished houses.
What's that?
So hopefully we can get a little help
So he probably didn't know.
communicating to Mr. Brown that the city does not pick up
Yeah, houses.
houses that have been demolished.
Yeah.
That is their responsibility to actually do something with it, taking it where it needs to go.
Absolutely. It's just I just say that because I think the first time I saw that happen, I was pretty shocked that somebody would think, well, I throw my trash away, I might as well throw my house in the same place. You know, I just was pretty surprised by that, and the fact that I've seen it more than 5 or 6 times is
Unfortunately.
a shame.
Be surprised.
We've seen simple care of premise cases too, where somebody just had to clean up their lot, and their response was to move it to within 3 feet of the street.
Well, he tried. So,
Okay.
okay, and what was your recommendation?
My recommendation would be maybe to keep it on until, for another 2 weeks to the next council meeting, and let's make sure that it gets cleaned up and then get it closed out at that point.
Okay. I make that motion.
Second.
Oh, wait a minute.
We ain't got time.
We don't have time.
We have all day until the meeting is adjourned.
Not while we.
I will debate the merits of, I can talk a lot. I'll just keep talking about
Thank you.
something until
Thank
you're
you.
done with your
Thank
phone
you.
call,
Thank
and
you.
then,
Thank you.
and then we'll vote. So, well,
I had never sat here while somebody was on the cell phone to continue a meeting.
it's a whole
I
new
just
world,
did.
isn't it?
No,
Fast changing the way we are all connected.
things have changed, and I'm not going to put that out there for the media to do that. No.
But that being said, I mean, we have a motion and second.
We have a
but
motion,
I mean, there is
we have-
discussion for it, and I think
Is
just
there
as
any
a,
discussion?
Well, the only thing
I was
just
really just trying to find out from him quickly, if y'all don't mind, just so I'll know which way. If I had gotten this before, I would have had it taken care of. Okay, just give me 30 seconds.
oh, you're talking to somebody in Bolton.
We motion.
Miss Brown.
Okay.
Just give me 30 seconds.
You need to talk to your friend, John.
Wednesday. To be honest.
I was going to ask, did they not have this on this Friday
I'm not sure.
on the agenda?
Mayor, I think we all know that it's been on since Thursday or Wednesday.
Okay, what was your motion, sir?
2 weeks
To
to give him time to get this moved from the street. Am I correct, sir?
Postpone for 2 weeks.
Postpone?
Yes, that was,
Give him time to remove his debris from the property. I think that's a very generous 2 weeks, frankly, but if we don't meet in the interim, it's no point doing it unless 2 weeks.
Who was the motion and the second?
Okay.
It was motioned by the chair and seconded by Councilman Epperson.
All righty. So if you all will, that's fine. That's fine. But just, that's fine.
Seeing any,
I would have had this taken care of before the meeting. So y'all let me know next time, so
Yes, ma'am.
other councilmen don't have to worry about trying to address something in my district.
well, you was in mine twice today. I was just
Okay.
helping you out. So, seeing any other discussion, please vote.
I asked a question, I didn't make a motion, so.
And that motion carries 6 with 1 absent.
thank you.
And no other appeals here. Mr. Thompson, is there any?
We had no report today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson, could you work on getting our clock fixed to the right hour? And provide us a report tomorrow during your meeting, and as far as how your progress is, if you would.
I will make a report tomorrow.
Just want to make sure you have something going on.
You have to first weekend in November to fix it.
It just tells when the meeting starts.
If there's nothing else, this meeting.
whoa.
Yes, because I'm ready to go.
Okay, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Got your bond forfeiture report. What happened to did we lose the case with the 180, 225?
There's rules to show cause set for April. I think
Okay, but you're not tracking that number or that number is no longer.
not until we have the rule to show cause hearing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that money is still, it hadn't changed,
Right.
but we're just not characterizing it like we used to in our.
Correct.
Bond forfeiture money.
Question,
In
please.
that
It's
case,
not, my
it's like
thing is not showing up.
$187,000, but it's been pushed back to April.
It still got you showing for speaking earlier. Go ahead, Councilwoman Lynch.
Okay. I had a question about tickets, and I'm just trying to get an understanding. Okay, so when SPD issues a ticket, I guess anywhere in the city, the Shreveport parking handle that? I guess I'm just trying to,
It's two different things.
it's two different,
You talking about downtown Shreveport?
Speeding or parking?
in the ticket was for an oversized vehicle.
That's probably going to be a parking ticket, oversized vehicle parked in a residential neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, parking tickets have actually been decriminalized, so that's the first sentence of the statute. So once one of our, it's a civil matter between the city and the owner of the vehicle that actually receives the citation. So once we write them, they go to the DDA, Shreveport, and then they are the ones that are responsible for the collection of the fines or turning it over to, I believe, a third-party entity if those fines are not paid.
Our office acts as the appeal process by statute, by ordinance.
Okay, is there a reason we have a third party doing that as opposed to in-house? I guess that's what my question
I
is.
think DDA does that.
Yeah.
Now, I understand they were doing that for
Downtown
downtown, but in the neighborhoods, when did we make that change?
We did.
We didn't? That's always been like that?
Yeah, as long as DDA changes parking.
I think
all
so.
But they.
Nothing's changed, I don't think.
No.
Okay, so how does that, okay, so you're saying that
It's always been whatever it is now.
all citations,
Parking.
Oh, parking
Just
citations.
parking, yes, ma'am. Parking citations are, like I said, they've been decriminalized, so that's a civil matter, unlike a traffic ticket, which goes over to city court.
Okay. Okay, so they handle all parking citations,
Yes,
whether
ma'am.
downtown or in the neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know how long we've been doing that? Art, maybe you're the only one been here.
A long time.
Yeah, I don't know, they've had a contract for a long time with the city.
For all parking citations.
I don't think the contract has changed.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
We haven't changed it since I've been here, madam.
I knew about the downtown parameters. I guess I was a little confused about the residential. But now that you're saying it's all parking citations, okay, all righty, that's what I was just trying to clarify. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions, Councilman? Councilman Fleury?
Mayor, I'd like to see if you could help me understand on the water meter boxes. I had someone that emailed me this week. Who owns the water meter boxes and who's responsible for the replacements? And the person want to know, is the citizen charged for a water meter box if they get damaged?
Barbara. And if you will just, I'm sure she has the answer for all of that. Just send us something and we'll be glad to respond to it. But she can answer.
Okay, now, send that to Mr. Crawford. You told me, okay, I will.
Wait, we own the water meter boxes. I mean, we put those out, and we'll replace those if they get broken. If we have an issue where a customer, it's like every other month, it's near their driveway and they're driving and there's obvious that there's some either intentional damage or consistently being damaged, then we'll have a conversation with that customer, about it. But
So
just
if the
in
lid's
general,
missing and that you would replace
yes,
it?
we replace those.
Okay,
So
well, I'll
yes,
be
sir.
sending something on that then.
Okay,
very
thank
much,
you.
Mayor.
Is that it, Councilman Fleury?
That's it. Thank you.
Councilman Jenkins?
Just ask if I could speak to Mr. Sweeney and Mr. Bradford at the conclusion of this meeting on an issue, that would be helpful.
Councilman Corbin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think I'm going to ask this question first to City Attorney Bradford, but it's kind of a commentary as well. And he's very familiar with the case I'm going to talk about. I have a gentleman who owns 2 homes in District D, and I believe he owns a home somewhere in Broadmoor. Not sure whose district it's in. And he's kind of
Hope it's not in G.
and he's kind of playing this shell game of moving items from one house to the other house, and this has gone on now for 2 years probably. It has gone through property standards to city courts, and he's really making a mockery of all of our laws and ordinances in many ways, besides frustrating anyone who lives in sight of him. And, you know, I understand there's the procedures in place here. Also understand that him showing up in court and getting a $300 fine if he's not cleaned his property up in 6 weeks or so is not tremendously effective. Right. Thankfully, this sort of situation doesn't happen, you know, on a weekly basis for us. But all that to say, if there are legislative changes that we might want to put into place for a situation like this, I would certainly be supportive of beginning that conversation and viewing legislation, because I can tell you the heartache of people who live close to this gentleman and the number of emails and phone calls that I've gotten about 2 of his residences, not the third. You know, it's frustrating to me at almost as much as it is to those who look out their window and see a house with a driveway full of stuff, you know, that he's collected and things that will no longer fit inside his house.
Yeah. And what he does is, he hit it right on the head, is, you know, the court tells him to come into compliance on an address, then he moves it to the other address.
Yeah.
Until he can. So one of the things that we're going to request in the next, assuming that there is a next time, will be that the court site for each one of those properties, so that at least they can restrict him from moving to that property. But that's not going to necessarily stop the overarching property.
Right. And I think he does have another court date at the end of this month.
That's right.
Councilman James?
Well, you may remember our friend in Broadmoor with the 3 addresses. Now, was that this term or was that the term before? I think
it was this.
He was put in jail at one point.
But that was for contempt, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I got the second half of this.
I mean, this deal went on, and I'm not sure it's totally.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from the people lately, so I think that. I mean, this guy had a lot of issues. So, but at one point he ended up in jail. If I'm not, if Terrence was here today, he could give us. I mean, he had 8 pages on this deal,
didn't he?
Yeah, it would have been for contempt.
It was something for contempt. I believe is why he ended up in jail.
Anyway,
Did they get it resolved?
No, I mean,
jail and still didn't resolve
it still didn't resolve it. Even when he went, then he was still moving from one to the other to the other. Now, one house.
Was it 3? It was 3 different.
3 houses, and he had his trailers, and that he just pick up the trailers and move it from one place to the other. But I'm embarrassed to say I don't know where it is, the latest line of it. But I'm certainly supportive of something that could fix this deal. I mean, ultimately, with this guy, he had another issue that he had a roof violation on one of his properties, which got him in court on a different issue. So I can't remember all this stuff that happened.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where he knows good and well we're not going to do a demolition order because the houses are all, you know, nice. At least 2 of the houses I know are nice houses in nice neighborhoods. Now, what they actually look like on the inside, who in the world knows? But he's smart enough to know how to skirt the rules.
Must be related to Annie Mae.
Annie Mae's a little different. She takes contributions, apparently, at the council meeting if people are so inclined.
Don't even bring that up now.
Nobody want to listen to where we were going.
Are there any other reports from officers, boards, or committees? All right, this time. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.